hello, it's great to see you all, and thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy rehearsal schedule to speak to us about this history-making production of Richard II at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Welcome.
I'm Lynette Linton, and I'm one of the co-directors on Richard II.
I'm the other co-director. I'm Adjoa, and I play Richard.
I'm Sarah, I'm playing Bolingbroke.
My name's Nicholle Cherrie, and I play multiple characters in this play. I play the role of Green, Percy, the Queen's attendant, and the groom.
As the first women of colour company to perform a Shakespeare play on a major UK stage, and at Shakespeare's Globe, no less, you're making history. So incredible. All right, in keeping with this achievement, we've got all women of colour crew interviewing you.
Great.
How are you feeling about this momentous reality?
Well, on one part it feels like there's a lot on our shoulders, but then there's always been, as women of colour, there's always been a lot on our shoulders, whether it's just stuff we put on ourselves or it's just stuff we lay down, but it's really exciting. I feel like it's such an exciting position to be in, to be able to create these stories and speak these words that are usually spoke by men and usually white men of a particular class. It's really great that we can just get embodied with this language, and it just feels like it fits right with us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty bittersweet because it's incredible that we get the opportunity to do this, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's just happening now.
Adrianne played the eponymous Richard II, who's a really capricious character, to say the least, and I know you both have great respect for each other. Well, obviously, let's see what happens to open unite. And like, Adjoa, this is in a way your baby, and you invited Lynette to co-direct with you.
I needed Lynette to co-direct.
Fine, that too. So, acknowledging these really, really important. But so how are you both navigating this bold arrangement?
Oh, I see. No, that's not a problem.
Navigating doesn't mean it's a problem.
Navigating it. Anyway.
Because you're director, you're acting.
Lynette and I met on a job 3 years ago where Lynette directed me. We did a play called What a Sutter Taught Me, about Assata Shakur, Black Panther, who's still in exile in Cuba, old lady now, who's basically sacrificed her life, her daughter, not burying her mother, everything, for the cause of fighting for equal human decency of treatment towards black people in America and by extension across the world. So she's a real inspiration. So Lynette and I met on that job, and I think she's a wonderful director, and we worked really well together on that job and we became friends. And I think aesthetically and politically and sense of humour, that's the word. We're very compatible.
Yeah.
We're quite blunt with each other. I'd say that's the word, quite blunt.
Yeah.
But I think that's because we know that we love each other and there's real trust there, which means you can say anything you want. And it's not a challenge to the basis of your relationship.
And that's what I was going to say, in terms of trust. And also, Lynette, you're now the artistic director at the Bush. You have Sweat, which has extended run. It's gone down incredibly well. And you're doing this as well. I mean, what's some of the sort of artistic and creative priorities for you? I mean, one thing that struck me, outside of the fact this whole decolonisation of spaces is going on, even with you just being here. But I interviewed Ray Jenkins recently, and he was talking about how important it is, to light black people and how he does that so beautifully with his cinematographer. So the fact you've got this, amazing array of blackness and womanhood on stage. So, for example, I don't want you to give everything away, but what some of the considerations that are in mind, such as lighting.
Well, the thing to say is that we're in the San Monica, which is lit by candles.
Yes.
So there's a conversation around that we're having to have, in that we have women of all different complexions on stage, and we're using candlelight, which is a first, I think, for all of us, right? We're all used to using electric light, and working with lighting designers who are using electric light. We do have a lighting designer working with us, but we're all using candles for the first time. So that is a huge consideration. consideration, and us being aware of that, and knowing that we're having to light for women of different complexions, and making sure that everybody's seen is really important, because we're in that space. I mean, should be a consideration in every space, but particularly because we've got candles, I think it's another thing that we have to spend time and tech doing. So that's been fun, negotiating what that is, and we're still negotiating that because we've not been in the space and we haven't started tech yet. So we've got what do they call them here? Candle
technicians, is it?
Yeah.
What's it?
Candlelight. They call it candlelicious.
You can see that on a t-shirt.
I think Prem is in the programme as candle consultant.
That's our
lighting designer.
Who is also a colour, because the whole company.
The whole company.
So that's the actors, the directors, the stage management.
On the stage, behind the stage.
Everything. So we are all aware of that, and we've been aware of these conversations for a long time. And we've had these conversations.
Yeah,
it shows we've worked on, right?
It's not a new thing. It's a different version of the same conversation, which basically is, in this country, in the main, lighting designers do not focus on lighting us well. It's my big fight. I have no shows with lighting designers. It's like, can you see me?
Yeah.
Or I'll be talking to another actor who may be of colour, and I'll end up at a certain point going, I can't see them. Can you do? And it's hard. It's hard because, you know. But I think, you know, if you truly want to embrace the fact that you want, I hate the word diverse. You want to embrace the entirety of the profession correctly, then you must embrace all that entails, and that may entail. You have to think about lighting in a different way. You have to think about costume making in a different way, because we have different shapes that need to be accommodated properly. You know, there's a whole range of considerations.
I want to come back to you, Adjoa, in terms of moving away from the directing side, but in terms of you being in a play and embodying Richard II, and the complex character. I mean, what are you bringing to the interpretation?
I came to see Michelle about doing a different project, and she said, have a look at Richard II. So I read it, and I was very moved by, he has this he has this thing he says at one point when he's about to lose his crown, alack that I've worn so many winters out and know not now what name to call myself. And that really struck a chord with me, because the notion of identity and what name to call yourself, not the name other people call you, but what name do we call ourselves? Who are we? It's something that presses on my heart a lot. It wounds me when I see people being judged for their sexuality or their gender or their race or their income bracket, and not for the quality of their heart. It wounds me, and I think there is so much wasted potential in this country and around the world because of those judgments that are put on people that have nothing to do with the quality of the person. It's an accident of birth, all of this, where we're born, you know, into what family, into what racial background, into what financial background, into all of that stuff. It has nothing to do with who the person is. And I think in this play there is there's all the jockeying and who's the power struggles, blah, blah, blah. But at the core of it, there is this man who lost his father when he was 3 and lost his grandfather when he was 10. And he's one of the fatherless boys, right? Who are struggling to work out who on earth they're supposed to be and how to be, a person in the world. And he's been born into a family where he's expected to be a king, he's expected to know how to do that, and he's expected to govern well, and be able to juggle all the different power struggles that are going on in his country and rule wisely and well. But where is the guidance for him to grow up into that role? And maybe that's not the role he's supposed to have. Maybe he's a brilliant potter or seamstress, or do you know what I mean? So that's what all this work is about. That's why we, really push to say, no, everybody in this company, from the voice director to the fight director to the designer, the composer, the musician, everybody, stage management, assistant director, publicist, on stage, backstage, everybody, woman of colour. Why? Because we have the richness of talent and skills available to fulfil all those roles easily. We could have fulfilled them time over.
This quote is saying that this play is a post-empire reflection of what it means to be British.
Yeah.
And the fact you're opening when
As we
in
Brexit
Europe,
or not
and
Brexit.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge and joy in reframing the play to reflect that experience?
I've not been the only one in the room. That's number one actually, because and it's not even the acting profession. I mean, any profession you care to name, there are banking, whatever. We're quite often the only one in the room, and when you're the only one in the room, you feel you have to represent, don't you?
Yes,
you have to be. Don't be late. Oh my God, don't be late. Be really good at what you do. Don't be too loud. Don't be too quiet. Just be but you know, as all our parents, you have to be twice as good. We have to be twice as good. Yeah. All that stuff, you know. In this room, you don't have to be anything because we're all women of colour. So where's the big deal? Just stop for once. You don't have to represent. You can just come and be an artist.
I haven't been out of drama school for a very long time, but in the companies I've been in, there's been a production that I've been in, and I was the only person of colour at all, backstage, everywhere, and there was a lot of things that I felt like I needed to apologise for, and there were times where I would have loved to be like catered to in the way that my other colleagues were, but they just didn't have it. They just didn't have it for me, and it kind of does make you feel like isolated, just not enough. And you should be, and in this company, like Adjoa said, you don't have that because everybody's in the same boat, and I think that's one of the, it's a beautiful thing that I think other people take for granted that they have, that we don't necessarily have all the time. So it's great that we can experience that together.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really great, supportive space to be creative. Like from Lynette and Adjoa, you can come to them and discuss anything without. Usually in some spaces, you have to be careful what you say. You don't want to step on anybody's toes or compare this way or that way. And it just feels like across the board with the cast and everything, it's just such a great support.
And just being able to be in a room and just go, yo, has anyone got a tampon? Genuinely, like, and then say that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, some of us are talking about the menopause, but carry on.
And I'm going to pass it now, we'll just say it out loud. But also just to pick up on what Ag said about the vibrations of the ancestors and just where we're all from, I just think it's just so nice to be in a space, where you can just feel that. You know, we did, we had a cultural sharing before we started, which I think has really informed that and really just stayed with us. So everybody got up and spoke about where they were from and brought in things that meant a lot to them. And so that's just in the space with us, and it will be in our design. You'll see when you come and see the show that they're with us. Our culture is with us, and what that means in this space. And I think that's really unique, and I've not experienced that before. And I think vibrations is a really good way of explaining that. It's just here. It's just
and the thing to say, I mean, I'm just looking at those of us who are here, that our cast, we've got people whose ancestors are from Pakistan, India, Iran, China, Philippines. I mean, we just went, where did the empire go? So that somebody went somewhere, and because of that we're here. So that's who we are as a company. So there's a real range.
What do you want people to experience and take away when they come and see your production and your take on Legit the Second?
For me, it's about whoever you are, you come into this space and you take what it is for you. So whether that's you seeing yourself on the stage, or you really understanding the story, or just being in the space with the vibrations. That is, so for me, it's about whatever you want to take from it. We're here to serve the story, to have this conversation, and you leave with what you want to leave with, or what you will leave with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway.
For me, I think it's just about being able to make the offer really clearly for audiences that may think that Shakespeare is not for them, or may feel intimidated by the space or the idea of the language. I just want people from across the piece, from all backgrounds, to know that they are welcome. We want them to come. We want them to come and share in this experience with us. And as Lynette says, you bring your own baggage. So Shakespeare writes on a heartbeat. So all I ask from the company is that we are sincere with our heartbeats in telling the story, but you don't just come and do your cardboard performance. You come and you do your fully embodied performance, because that is what will vibrate with the hearts of the audience. And I want them to come and just whatever's on their heart, to feel this is a space they can breathe out for a minute and sit with it.
And take what they will.